Initially, when I thought about filming this video, I feel like I saw it differently in my mind. But Josh suggested making this video like a vlog, just bringing you along with us for a day because we haven't done that for quite a while.
Morning. We are cleaning up the puppy pen for these cuties here. Because today we're going to Virginia because we're gonna go do some herding lessons and finalize some things for HOA. So need to finish cleaning up in here. And then we can get on the road. What you think? Is that good? Jordan's outside working on the other animals, getting them all situated, and then probably have some coffee and get out of here. But I'm gonna try and finish up this room. It's a little bit of a mess, and you're just stinking cute, huh? Just stinking cute, yeah.
Finn. Ray. Ray. You guys excited? Sit down. Finn, sit. I'm calling this video the ultimate update because I feel like there's a lot going on in our life. There's been a lot going on in our life, especially for the last 6 months, but also for the past year. And just being real with you guys, had to turn the camera off, drink some of my coffee. It's not a lot of coffee. It's literally just like 1.5 inches of coffee, and the rest is raw goat's milk. That's what I consider coffee these days, to limit my caffeine intake. But I feel like the most important thing we should start with on this video is health. Right? Is that a good thing? Talk about our health journeys, where we're going.
Yeah, sure.
So, if you guys have been longtime followers, or if you've gone back and watched our early videos, we started our homesteading journey because 3.5 years ago, I was told that I had multiple sclerosis, and it affected me in a huge way, especially with my overall health. I started experiencing extreme fatigue, memory loss, fine motor skill issues, just a lot of different neurological issues altogether. Lots of chronic nerve pain. Long story short, I'll link those videos up above here so that if you're interested in going and checking those out. There's a lot of videos where I shared a look into my daily life with chronic neurological pain and how that affected us. So we started homesteading because the only thing that we researched and could find that would help with my symptoms was actually eating more organic vegetables and fruits and pastured meats. And so we found our property, we bought our house, and we hit the ground running. We started with our first chickens, our first meat birds, and we haven't bought chicken from the grocery store since. So fast forward to last year. Last August, I had an appointment with a new neurologist up at Duke in Durham, and they actually specialize, they have a facility up there that specializes in multiple sclerosis. And we had done some more MRIs and a couple other tests, some blood work, etc. And when I got the follow-up call with the neurologist, she said my lesions were gone, and that all of my scans came back clear and normal. I guess I was more upset than excited at the time because I was still struggling with some of my symptoms on a regular basis. And it's really hard to be told nothing's wrong with you when you're not normal and you don't feel normal and you don't feel well. And I'm sure that there's some of you out there like that, where you don't have answers as to what's wrong, but you know that you're not okay. But the doctor encouraged us to just keep doing what we're doing, where we're focusing on eating right, we're focusing on staying active. You know, I obviously was still working. I was working full time. I was still working at Starbucks. And it just was such an interesting piece of our story, because what we started homesteading for was suddenly over. And it's not that it was a bad thing that it was over. It was obviously definitely good that it was over, but trying to mentally work through that when I had really, I'd almost taken on a different identity because I had MS, or because I was told I had MS. And so that was our biggest struggle, I feel like, especially with Josh, is he would push me so much harder than I really honestly wanted him to. And there were quite a few days where he would be like, no, you're getting up out of bed. I don't care what you're saying. I don't care that you hurt. You're gonna get up and do this. And looking back, now I am really glad that he did that. But at the same time, it shaped our marriage and our relationship, because I needed that backbone. I needed that coach to be like, I don't care about the pain. You're gonna get up and you're still gonna do it. We're still gonna make this happen. And earlier this year, I know this doesn't sound like a big thing, but earlier this year, I had gone out, I can't remember what Josh was doing, but I had gone out and I needed to move 4 different groups of animals. And if you're also new, we use Premier One electric net fences, and so you have to pick it up and carry it over to the next spot where you're going to move the animals, and then you have to move the animals over there. I moved all 4 sets of animals by myself without stopping for a break. And I was just amazed, because when we started our homestead, I couldn't do the fence by myself because I would be in so much pain and I would not have enough strength to carry the fence by myself. And to be able to say that I was now at a point in my health where I could go and move all of the animals by myself, no help, was just incredible. And so that's the big major update with health, because I've had a couple of people ask about MS and pregnancy, and I realized I didn't really make an official mention about no longer having MS. But again, it's one of those where I really had to kind of process what that looked like, because I had taken on that identity, and now it was like, oh, that's not a part of me anymore. And so I wanted to share that with you guys, that it's now been over a year and like a month and some change, that I was told I no longer have multiple sclerosis, which is great. I don't struggle with daily chronic nerve pain anymore. I don't struggle with a lot of the symptoms that I had. Occasionally I do, but now it's kind of more, that's also a symptom of pregnancy. So it's a little different, I feel. But I wanted to share that with you guys so that you're all up to date on where we are health-wise with that. Looking to the next step on pregnancy. Pregnancy is going well. I passed my glucose test the other day, so that was good. I'm not pre-diabetic or diabetic while pregnant, so that's awesome. And in a few days, probably when this video comes out, I'll be right at 28 weeks, which is the start of the 3rd trimester. You ready?
Yeah.
You excited to be a dad?
Yeah.
I've been staying active. Obviously, when you have Homestead and you're pregnant, not being active is not really an option. So, been staying active. I've also been working about 35 hours a week at work, which is a little stressful. It's holiday season starting out. We've got our fall launch, so it is pumpkin spice latte season, and it's where all the crazies come out. And as a manager at Starbucks, you get to deal with all the crazies, and then you get to deal with the stress that the baristas have, and so it's a lot. And Josh and I were having a conversation the other day about it, where it's tough to do so much with the Homestead and at home because so much of us is required at work. You know, we have to be mentally, emotionally, and physically there at work every day. And there's some days where it's definitely more exhausting than others. But taking that and going into the next thing is, within the past 2 weeks, we've had to make some tough calls. And I say they're tough calls because even though there was a plan in place, we had to move up the dates. What I'm talking about is, a few weeks ago, Josh called me while I was at work. And Chorizo, our keeper piglet from our January litter, had gotten out of the fence, repeatedly kept getting out of the fence, and wouldn't go near him. Wouldn't go near him for food, kept going towards the garden, and he called me after an hour and a half of chasing him around and said, "What do I do?" And it's tough because we love our animals. We do. We absolutely love them. We care for them and care about them every single day. And even though we grow and raise our own animals for food, that doesn't mean we're heartless about it. So his date to go to the freezer was not until like January or February of 2024. But on that day, we made the decision to go ahead and put him in the freezer now. And it's tough because you don't want to have to make that decision. You also don't want to have to make that decision when you can't be together and make that decision, where one of us was at work and the other one was at home. And then fast forward a few nights ago, the same thing happened with one of our goats. Got out, went out of the perimeter fence, wouldn't come to food. And you had to make that decision of, okay, let's look at our time and what's valuable. And her date to go to the freezer was just in a couple weeks. So I wanted to start out with that because it's tough, and that's been something that's been heavy on our hearts, because that day I had to come home and process a goat because we didn't have freezer space to put the entire carcass in the freezer. And that's tough. I cried a lot. I know Josh cried about it because that was a goat that had been born on our property and that we loved, that we had cared for the last year and a half.
Might I add, this was not the first time. It's not like, oh, they got out one time, y'all are so cruel. No, this is like the 20th time for both of them.
And it was the final straw, because for us, you know, we don't have acres and acres. We have an acre and a quarter. And if our animals get out and they get out of the perimeter fence, that's no bueno. And, you know, once they learn they can do it once, they're going to go and do it again and again and again. And that's where we have had to kind of set rules and boundaries of what's allowed and what's not. But when an animal goes outside the perimeter fence, because we have 5 hot strands around our entire property, it's almost like game over, because then if we can't get them back in, what's the point of having that animal? And so that was just a very emotional day for both of us. You know, it was tough for Josh to make that call, and then it was tough for me to process. This year we have really downsized our animals a lot, and we've been talking about downsizing because we would like to be prepared and get prepared to move within the next year or so. But expecting a baby has really jump-started that process, and putting food in the freezer and not having a bunch of animals to take care of when baby arrives seemed to make a lot more sense to us. And so we did, you know, 2 batches of chickens this year already, so our freezers are full of chicken. And then earlier this year we had done, you know, 2 of our pigs and a goat, and this month our plan was to do 2 pigs and 2 goats, which now we've already done 1 goat. But for us, that's a lot to take on because we do have limited freezer space. And then all spring and summer we've been harvesting, but we haven't had the time to preserve, and so we've been putting the harvest in the freezer, and so now we're having to go back through and work through the freezers to clear space for these 2 pigs and goat that's gonna go in the freezer in just like 2.5 weeks. Man, that's a lot in itself, is preserving. You know, just the other night, Josh took like 2 gallon-sized freezer bags of green beans and 1 gallon-sized freezer bag of carrots and made 27 pints of canned goods to stock our shelves. But that's like not even the tip of the iceberg of how much we have in our freezers that needs to be transferred over to the pantry. And so he's been feverishly working on that. The pressure canner and the water bath are always going on the stove these days. And then the dogs have been eating well because they've been getting the roosters and the organs and the, you know, the various parts of animals that we have kept when we've butchered. You know, we had saved some cooney ribs, but they were like super small, so we just made the decision to go ahead and give them to the dogs. So they've been eating really well. But it's been tough on us because it's a lot of legwork at home too. Not only processing, but then harvesting and canning. So it's been a lot. So we've just downsized our animals a lot, and that alone, making sure we have room in the freezer, making sure we've got all of that prepped and planned for when baby comes, that has been a big time-consuming aspect of our life lately. Even though we're downsizing the animals, it still takes a lot of extra time from us. But speaking of prepping for baby and prepping in general, we've got a big month ahead of us in October. If you guys don't follow us on social media, that's okay, but we've got some exciting things coming up. The first thing, though, is that we are going to be having a Yoga with Puppies event. We're going to be doing 2 events. We're going to be doing one on our homestead, October 1st. So if you're local, go to our website. I'll have that information listed there. That way you can sign up to come to the event. And then the second one is going to be on October 2nd up at Bradley's Yoga and Fitness up in Fuquay, Verena. So I'll post that information on our website as well. So if you're interested in attending a Yoga with Puppies class and playing with our litter of 7 puppies, that information will be on our website. After that, the following weekend is Homesteaders of America Conference up in Front Royal, Virginia. I am speaking on working dogs herding on the homestead. I'm also teaching a kid sitter class on how to train your family dog. I'm super excited. We're going to be taking at least 3 dogs with us, including these 2 that are in the back seat. And then the weekend after that, we will be going down to Fountain in South Carolina to the Farm Where You Live festival. Also speaking on working dogs herding on the homestead. So I'm excited about that. And then the last weekend in October, the 28th and 29th, we will be going down to Florida, and Josh and I will both be speaking on homesteading with a budget at the 2022 Gulf Coast Homesteaders meetup. And so October is going to be a very busy, big month for us, but we're excited for it. And then hopefully we'll have November to calm down a little bit before baby comes beginning of December. So we've got a lot prepping for that. I'm super excited for the Homesteaders of America conference and the Farm Where You Live event. I've got some big things up my sleeve for that. We're going to be also doing some live demos while we're there, so that should be fun. A little nervous, but I've been working on my speech and getting everything set together. We've been talking about merchandise, we've been talking about stickers. Still not quite sure what we're gonna do with that, but definitely some good options for us to think about. If you'd be interested in some fresh Working Aussies Homestead merchandise, leave us a comment down below, because that's something we've been on the fence about, is do we take t-shirts? Do we not take t-shirts? Do we take stickers instead? Let us know. We'd love to know what you think would be a good thing for us to take. I know I'm just kind of regurgitating everything that's going on in our life. It's a lot, and there are definitely some days where I have told Josh, I feel like some days I just need one day off and call it an admin day and just work on emails and getting things set up in our calendar and making sure I've ordered different things that I need to order, because not only do we have the events coming up, but then we currently have a litter of puppies that are about to be 5 weeks old, which means we have 5 weeks left with them, which means that we are deep in weaning and potty training, and that's a full-time job in itself, because you have to change out the pads at least 3 times a day now, because they are little poop machines. So just got to make sure we've got everything set up for them and their new families, and we're very excited. I'm not going to publicly announce this yet, but we've got some exciting news coming up too. That's all you need to know. But anyways, so I'm going to film a little bit today at our friend's property with some herding, and some of that footage will be in a video later that'll tie into our 3 series that we have on our YouTube channel focused on the dogs. But I'm excited to share that with you guys, and I appreciate you watching my rambling and following along for our ultimate update. Just all the things going, and it's exciting and it's fun, and it keeps us on our toes, keeps us from being bored, for sure. Bored is as far from our vocabulary as possible. There's always something to do. But we are very excited about having a slower season once baby gets here, and putting in all of this extra work up until that point, I know will totally be worth it. Stocking our pantries and our freezer and preparing our finances for baby girl to make her way, I think was probably the best move we could do at this point in our life. It definitely shifted our entire year, but I think it's been a good shift. A good shift.